Welcome, creepy guys, foolish gals, and all you beautiful creatures of the horror fandom. You're listening to My Horror History, a podcast where we explore how horror movies shape us, scare us, and sometimes even save us. I'm your host, Pepper Chew, and each month I sit down with a fellow horror lover to talk about their personal journey into the genre. This isn't about being an expert. It's about sharing memories, opinions, and the emotional connection that we have with the films that haunt us in the best ways. This episode, I'm joined by the brilliant Sinead Hanna, YouTube's resident spooky book reading, scary film watching goblin. If you've ever stumbled across her channel, you'll know she's a master of horror recommendations, gothic dives, and cemetery book chats. Today she's here not as a critic, but as a fan, to share her own horror history and what keeps her coming back to the genre's eerie embrace. So pin back your ears, settle in, and let's dive into another story from the dark side. Hi Sinead, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm very well. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm very excited.
Yeah, me too. Right, okay, so let's get going then. So where did your journey into horror begin?
It's a great question. So horror sort of is, I say it's in my DNA. It's kind of the love of all things horror and macabre, spooky things. Really from childhood. Really, this began from the moment I could talk or I could understand stories. So it really comes from my family. So I'm born and raised in England, but to an entirely Irish family. So my whole family are Irish. I'm Irish, Irish Catholic. So we're sort of obsessed with death. We're obsessed with death and the macabre. It is, I think there's various cultures that can embrace it, but certainly a lot of people would agree, the Irish are really, really into all spookiness and ghosts and goblins and ghouls and storytelling. We're people of great storytellers. So from when I was tiny, me and my sister, who's older than me, my parents would be telling us fairy tales and ghost stories. They were great storytellers, to try and get us to go to sleep and shut up usually. But they would tell us ghost stories from their youth. And really the stories were always sort of around spirits or the other world rather than fluffy kind of unicorns and princesses. I don't know why that was, but I think that's just from their heritage. So really growing up, there was this fascination with the darker stories, the really old kind of grim fairy tales, that kind of tradition. And really, I think as well, from our culture and from our background, you're sort of taught from a young age not to fear death or not to be
Mm.
afraid of the other side, because it's a spiritual kind of thing. And I'm not a practicing Catholic anymore, but you sort of grow up with this surrounding of constantly being told about death, and then there will be another side, and there will be all of this stuff, but you're taught not to be afraid of it. It's nothing to be frightened about. There's something magical and mystical about it. So really, out of that, there were lots of ghostly stories and strange tales that were told to me as a child, and then I just gravitated towards books that would give me that same experience, and films and TV shows and anything like that just gave me such joy.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, yeah. I come I wasn't surrounded by Catholicism as a child, but my mum comes from a Catholic
Mm.
family. Um, but that's British Catholic, I think, is slightly different to Irish Catholic.
It's got shades of links. And again, I grew up in England, so surrounded, and went to a Catholic school,
Mm.
a Catholic primary school. And even then, I think the kids there were not quite as fascinated as ghostly stuff as I was. But, we're sort of weird things are drummed into you about spiritualism, and then you're like, ah, yes, but the death and the ghosts that come back. And they're like, no, no, not so much, not so much.
Um, so who do you think you would say introduced you to horror?
That would be my parents.
Yeah.
So my mum and my dad. My mum, great storyteller, wonderful for telling stories of horror and ghosts from Northern Ireland, where she grew up. She had so many great ghost stories and great folklore that she told us all about from there. And it was spooky, but she did it with humor as well. She
Mm.
loved the idea of people being scared and laughing at them. She had a very dark sense of humor that came from my grandmother as well. Absolutely would howl with laughter anyone got a fright. So there would be that. My dad as well loved the folklore, and he started my love of books as well. So he was always buying me books from when I was little, and he would find subjects that I responded to. So if he could find some creepy, ghostly kids books, and my love of horror films came from him, of his absolute obsession with film. We used to watch films all the time, watched far too many horror films when I was way too young, but remember some great experiences of sitting with my dad, and his passion and his excitement for what cinema could do came from him, and a lot of very good memories of that.
What was your first horror film that you ever saw? Can you remember that?
I'm trying to, because there's sort of, it's a haze of going, oh, I was way too young to watch any of that. Why was I watching that? Because it's kind of like, if my sister was watching it, my parents were watching it, like, oh, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. Horror didn't upset them. Like, they didn't think I had to be shielded from that. If there was any adult content, oh, absolutely not. No, we're not to see that. But ghosts, fine. They'll cope. It's not real. I don't know why that was. So my earliest memories probably, on one hand, I was obsessed with Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters came out 1984 when I was 4. And so I think the first opportunity that I could see it, or that we could get it on video, which would be years later, absolutely obsessed with that humor and ghosts and funniness and cool. I loved that. I remember that. But I guess probably the earliest films would have been Hammer horror films that were shown on TV, because they could be shown on TV and repeat. And there was, when I was growing up, they were always being shown. So Dracula's Risen from the Grave, the original Dracula, Christopher Lee, loved all of that. Loved the vibes of those films. Creepy, but very vibe heavy and camp. I was obsessed. With those.
What would you say is your favourite horror movie watching experience? Maybe you were with a gang of friends, or you went to a horror all-nighter, or maybe it was completely solo.
I was thinking of that over the years. There's been a few. I was thinking about what I actually really like, what I enjoy. I love going to see horror in the cinema. I really do. It can be spoiled by people making too much noise and yelling and stuff like that. But cinema, for a while, I didn't get to see a lot of horror in the cinema when I was younger, because there was just a period of time where horror was popular but not profitable. So you weren't getting these big releases, and you'd get one showing on a Friday night when everyone's drunk and turning up and yelling and stuff, and it wasn't the same kind of scary experience. So I love going to the cinema now with friends. I love going and having that nice surround sound experience. I remember watching the Blair Witch Project on a video I was not supposed to have, that obtained, my boyfriend at the time obtained from someone before the film was released in the cinema in the UK. But we watched that I had like a hangout room when I was growing up in my family home. We had like a shed in the garden, and we could watch TV in there, so sort of a chill out area. And me and my boyfriend watched that before the hype. And I remember being terrified, just terrified, because found footage did exist before then. Of course it had. We had loads of great films, but something in that moment of not knowing the hype and watching it and the terror on screen really was a wonderful experience before everyone started parodying it, and kind of the suspension of disbelief of going, look, that would never happen. But that was great fun. I also love, I've done it a few times, showing a horror film to a non-horror fan, knowing it's going to mess them up for life. Just sitting there. Recently showed my husband The Thing for the first time, and that the joy you feel for horror fans, when you know how good this is and they're gonna love it. There's certain scary films I wouldn't show him, but The Thing, I'm like, he's just, and you're sitting there on the edge of your seat watching their reaction, and then they walk away going, oh, that's a great film. I was like, yes, good. Oh, I'm so happy. I think those are the experiences that jump out. But yeah, but also love watching a horror film on my own. I'm like, everyone shut up.
Yeah, I get that. And I also get showing them to non-horror fans, and it's nice when your husband enjoys it as well, because you feel like, oh, I don't have to divorce you now.
I've learned not to inflict too much on him over the years, because you're not going to force something, and it's like, oh, because he's one for breaking the tension. I know you've got a question about tension later. I think I tried to show him one film that I love, is beautiful, it's Let the Right One In. And it's so quiet, and that tension at the beginning, and I'm like, the filmmaker has created this to make you uncomfortable. And he, like many people, no fault of his own, was sort of chatting, going, "Oh, I wonder what this is." And I'm like, "Oh my God, shut up." I had a row, like, but he's like, "I need to break the tension. I'm really scared." I'm like, I don't think it's right for me to be turning around going, "You should be scared, suffer." Like, oh, I need to think about my choices there.
My husband actually liked Let the Right One In. He
Yeah.
really enjoyed that one. He doesn't enjoy many of them, but he enjoyed that one.
It's a beautiful film.
It
It's
is.
harrowing but so well done, and it's got almost hope to it, weirdly, in the end. You're
Yeah,
sort of really
yeah.
rooting for the kids. Yeah.
I mean, I liked both versions, but none of them are a patch on the book.
Yes. Yeah, I've not read the book. That is one where I keep regretting, like, I need to go and read the book because the film and the story is so good. That's one where everyone goes, no, the book is superior. Must read that.
Yeah. What film would you say scared you the most, and what was it that got you?
As ever, there's usually two or three that are sitting in my head. I think the earliest film that really scared me and shaped me was The Innocents, which is one of my favorite films of all time. The Innocents, 1962, I believe. Jack Clayton, Deborah Carr, written by Truman Capote, based on the novella The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. The Innocents, I still think, stands the test of time as a black and white ghost story. And watching that way too young again, maybe not way too young, but there's something very affecting the way that film is shot. It is a masterpiece of really interesting stylized direction, the way the actors rarely make eye contact in that film, and the ghosts as they appear. There's no gore, there's no blood. It's just this sort of creeping tension and stillness at a distance of seeing these ghosts and seeing the character of Miss Jessel in the lake from a distance. It's not close up. I think today, if you shot that film, there'd be all these zoom ins and you'd want to see the monster. It's just enough of it distance. It's so frightening. I remember in my course still when I watched that, just that terror comes back of, because you see it shot. I could gab about that film for so long. The way it's shot, when you see the ghost, maybe other people wouldn't feel the same when they watch it, but it's far enough away that you think it's a trick of the eye, but you know something's wrong. You know something's wrong. That stays with me. The other really scary one, The Shining, I think, the twins. The twins ruined twins for everyone from that point. Just seeing that moment, I remember watching it again as a teen and sort of jumping out of my seat, doing a kind of swearing at the TV, like, no, absolutely not. And just seeing the twins. Yeah, those got to me. Those two.
So was that the film that you yelled the most at the screen at, or were there more where you were like, "Don't go in there! Look! What's going on behind you?"
I think, I'm, as I said earlier, like, I'm not one for breaking the tension. I'll tense, and you'll hear me occasionally going, sort of next to you, like, hold the tension. If I'm with friends or we're watching something silly, we might shout at the screen. I think I shouted watching Paranormal Activity, which I watched on video a couple of years after it came out. I'm terrified by it. I maintain Paranormal Activity. I know it's had loads of sequels. It was a really big deal. It is terrifying. So I think during that, I'm what? No, stop it. No, just shouting. No, at the screen. Recently, me and my dear friend Emma from the brilliant podcast, Real Life Ghost Stories. Anyone who loves a ghost story, she is phenomenal. Her podcast. We're very good friends, and we went to the cinema to watch Heretic. And when we watch films that have got a bit more, it's really tense, we'll sort of nudge each other. And at one point, she fully slapped me. She was something sexually, and she really hit me to the point where I turned to her and went, "Ow! What are you doing?" She was like, "I'm sorry. Why did I hit you?" And I'm like, "Stop hitting me!" It's just, so we do that a lot when we go to the cinema together. We're quiet. We don't ruin it for everyone else, but we're just constantly hitting each other. Like, so yeah, I'm more of a slapper than a hitter. I've learned from my friends.
And which horror film do you think's got the best jump scare? What really got you like flying out of your seat?
There's so many good ones. The jump scare story I have that I've told before is, and again, in one of my favorite horror films, and I maintain it's a horror film, is Jaws.
No, 100% a horror film.
Absolutely, one of the greatest films of all time.
Mm.
Now, there's two jump scares technically in Jaws, but the reason I come back to this one is my first experience of watching it and not seeing it because of my parental control, as little as it was around horror films. My dad stepped in. So there's obviously the famous scene in Jaws where Brody is chumming off the back of the boat, and you see the shark breach for the first time, and it's a real shock. But the truest jump scare in that is when Hooper goes under the water to find I can't remember, the fisherman's boat, and he finds the tooth, and then the corpse's head comes out of the hole. It appears like that, and that is a brilliant jump scare. The first time I was watching Jaws at home on one TV with me and my sister, and my dad was fine watching it, loving seeing sharks tearing people apart. I love a shark, by the way, I absolutely love them. But he called up when we were watching, and he said to my sister, he said, "Sinead can't watch this next bit." And I'm like, "What? Sorry, I've just seen a child being eaten alive by Jaws. What's so scary that I can't watch?" And he wouldn't let me watch that jump scare of the head in the boat, because he said, "That is too much. That is too much. You're too little to cope with that sort of jump scare." And I didn't see that scene until a couple of years later, and I suddenly understood the power of a good jump scare, of how it can force you out of your chair, make you physically sick, and it takes you a while to come down afterwards. So that is the best jump scare for me personally, because it gave me such appreciation of what they can do. I should nod to The Exorcist 3, which is a terrible film, but one of the most famous jump scares of all time. That scene, every time I've watched it, and then just, I don't know anyone who can see that scene without screaming out loud.
It is a good
famous
one.
corridor scene.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one for a long time. I need to go back to that, and this isn't going to go down well with everybody, but that's my favourite Exorcist film. So
It's been so long since I've seen all the films. Again, I think in piecemeal, but I remember Exorcist 3. You'd never forget that scene in the corridor where it's just so well done.
It is really well done. What film would you say surprised you the most? It could be in a good or bad way. It could have really, I don't know, reached into your soul and tickled something.
Yeah, I've gone with the good, because bad ones, really bad horror films, I sort of tend to forget. If they're mediocre, you're kind of like, yeah, that's fine. If it goes in a really weird direction, I'm just like, oh, for God's sake. So I was trying to think of any bad, juicy ones, but a couple of recent ones, well, a very recent one, 28 Years Later, watched that. I don't know if you've seen it yet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I really liked it. I loved the film. I know it was weirdly divisive online, but I think that was a lot of people are entitled to their opinion, but there's a lot of people kind of going, ugh, yeah. I loved the way that 28 Years Later was constructed, and I was so surprised at the middle bit of it. There's scenes with Ray Fiennes, the Memento Mori scene, that really got to me. I felt so emotional watching the film. I loved the action. I loved the tension. The Memento Mori, it did touch me because having lost my parents, having lost my mother, I found it very affecting, and me and my friend were sitting crying, and I don't really cry at films, but just floods of tears. And I was so surprised at, wow, you've taken 28 Years Later and done something, this series, you didn't just try and recreate the first one. You've put something very heartfelt and very considered and thoughtful in the middle of a very entertaining film. The ending of that film is very surprising as well.
Gotcha.
In I think a good way. Yeah. We're like, what decisions were made? And they're brilliant. Yeah, a big fan of that.
Yeah.
Similar with the Babadook as well. I know that's a divisive film. I personally really like it, and I was very affected by that too. I think the strength of the mother-child relationship in that, I thought, was done very well. So those are ones that I was surprised because I got so emotional about them.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. I had a similar, I mean, I felt similar during 28 Years Later, and also I think the one that got me the most was probably Train to Busan. The ending of that.
I have not seen it yet.
Yeah.
I need to see it. It's on the list of brilliant zombie films, but just brilliant horror films. I know it's in like the top 20s. Oh, now I need to watch it.
What horror film would you never watch again, and why?
I struggled with this one actually, because it's always a way, isn't it? When you think of them, you can't think, and then I'd suddenly walk away and go, oh, all of these ones. there's some really beautiful films, really well constructed, that I'm happy to have seen once. Would I necessarily watch them again? I feel like it would be mean to say it. So, for example, I recently watched You Are Not Alone. You Won't Be
Mm.
Alone. Excuse me. You Won't Be Alone, a Macedonian film. Outstanding folk horror. Absolutely brilliant. So beautifully shot, so beautifully done. It's got a slow burn quality to it. I'd like to think I probably would watch it again at some point, but I don't really, I've had the
Mm.
experience once, so I'm not sure. Probably wouldn't choose to revisit like Opera by Dario Argento, which is an obscure one. I think once you've seen some Dario Argento once, you're
Mm.
like, I'm good. I'm all right. I don't need to go through that again. Um, so I'm trying to think if there's any bad ones. Really, anything with animal death will put me off.
Yeah.
I find that very, very triggering. I don't like it when it is carelessly thrown into a horror film. So that would be the sort of thing. If I see it, then I'd be like, no, I don't need to relive that. That's a sort of a trigger, really. But no, I was trying to think if there's any ones. There's disturbing ones out there, but I don't really actively go out of my way to watch the most disturbing films. I've had too many people say to me like, oh, like the scariest film ever is a Serbian film. I'm like, I have no interest in watching that film ever. I know what it's about. I do not want to see it. I don't think you're cool for having seen it. Um, so those sorts of things. So yeah, there's some that I will go, no, I'm just not going to try with that one, and I don't mind it. But yeah,
Yeah.
there's few that I think I've written off.
Yeah, I get that. I think there's some that I've written off. I think if they'd come out when I was like in my teens, I would
Mm.
have actively sought out the worst, most disturbing films I could have. But now I'm just like,
Yeah,
life's disturbing enough.
yeah,
I want to be
and people
scared.
exactly, and people watch really disturbing films for a variety of reasons. It does not mean that there's anything wrong with them. It doesn't mean that some people will watch the most disturbing things in horror so they can feel something. People who have been
Mm.
through the worst things, they need to be able to access some different kinds of feeling, and sometimes extreme horror does that, and it's no shade on those people at all. It's everyone's experience is different.
Oh yeah, we're all into different stuff.
Yeah.
Um, right, okay. So, which horror film does everyone love, but you just don't get the appeal?
Hmm. So this controversial maybe. I watched for the first time the other day The Descent.
Ah,
The Descent, which everyone puts on their list of like one of the scariest, one of the top films, one of the scariest. I know it came out a while ago. It pains me to say it. Sometimes you like films that come out in the 2000s. I'm like, that wasn't so long ago. Like, oh God, that was 20 years maybe.
mm,
The Descent, I watched it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fine. I didn't get blown away by it in the way I think I was hoping for, maybe. But so many people love it, and so many people say it's one of the best. It was a perfectly good horror film. I don't think it would it wouldn't get into my top 20.
no, I don't think it'd get into my top 20. I did love it. I probably
Yeah.
haven't watched it since it came out though, and I think sometimes when you watch something you haven't watched it again for a while, or you watched it in a
Mm,
certain time, when I think about it, horror back then, early 2000s, could be a bit hit and
mm,
miss. So when you got something that was good, you were like, oh yeah, that's fucking fantastic. Whereas now horror is so good. There's so much good stuff coming
yeah.
out, that it probably doesn't hold up maybe next to all the stuff that's coming out now, but people think of it fondly because it was a bit hit and miss back then.
Yes, that's such a good point. It's such a good point that, was it held up because it was one of the few? You had the stuff
Mm,
from there. You have Dog Soldiers, which is a great film. I maintain is absolutely brilliant. Very much the same sort of, it's very much that vibe. Not the same vibe as Dog Soldiers necessarily, but it's very of the time. And I think you looking at it now, it's been done in different ways and possibly better. But
mm,
still a great film. Great
yeah.
film. Does it deserve to stay in like the top 20 list that so many people put it on? It's still a very good film, but yeah, no. I'm not massively into the Conjuring series either. The Conjuring was very important, the first film, in terms of really reigniting a passion for that kind of horror, which we hadn't seen in a little while. But people, when I do sort of lists, on YouTube or on TikTok about, films that I'm really excited that are coming out, people always go, you're forgetting the next Conjuring film. And I'm like, I'm not excited about that. It's fine. It's fine. It is what it is. Is it world
Yeah.
beating? No.
No. I mean, I really like the first two. The second one, I think,
Mm,
is my favourite. So,
mm.
but
This
that's a
good,
good
solid,
story. Yeah.
scary films. Absolutely fine.
Yeah. And so, what film do you love, but nobody else ever talks about?
So I've got a list of underrated horror films that I don't see many people talking about, and I get very excited when I say, have you heard of this one?" Um, I think more people seem to be talking about it. It's probably in my sphere, though, in my little corner of the internet where I see it. A really great horror film is The Autopsy of Jane Doe. And I don't hear that talked about a lot. And I really, really enjoyed it. It's weird and it's tense and it's scary. I love that. I really love Saint Maud as well, which is sort of religious horror, and it's so well acted and it's so strange. Absolutely brilliant film. Not a lot of people mention it, and it's so good. An older one that I love as well is The Company of Wolves by Neil
Mm.
Jordan. If you love your dark fairy tales, oh my god, it's more people I feel should be talking about that film, of how lurid and juicy and just indulgently great, and the special effects in it were
Mm.
so great. I absolutely loved them. And not a strict supernatural horror. It is classed as a psychological horror. And people confuse it with the other film of the same name, The Invitation. So there's two films of The Invitation. One is a vampire film,
Oh,
which is
yes.
really over the top and good fun. It's fun. It's like it's mediocre at best, but it's fun. It's fine. But The Invitation is a different film about a dinner party,
Mm.
and it is. That's all I'll say about it. Look up the other Invitation film. Every time I've said that to someone, I say watch that film. I love it. Absolutely brilliant. Builds to a fantastic ending. All of the stuff in it as a psychological, that horror of people. Oh, it's so good. Love it.
Yeah, I love that one. Yes, I
Yeah.
made my husband watch that one. I said, "I've just watched this film. When you get like a spare afternoon, you need to watch it. It's
Yes.
it's it's not your usual horror film. You'll like it." He thought it was all right, but then an
Oh.
all right from my husband is probably a good. So
Yeah, high praise. There you
yeah.
go. But yeah, it's one to show people that I don't like traditional horror. This is a good film. This is well
Mm,
done. Very well acted.
yeah, it's very clever. Um, what do you think is the funniest horror film? Whether you enjoyed it because it was meant to be funny, or whether you enjoyed it just because it was downright stupid.
I love American Werewolf in London.
Mm,
It's again one of my top ones as horror comedy. It was so groundbreaking. It's genuinely scary. Genuinely
mm,
scary. That opening bit on the moors. Oh, I was terrified the first time I saw that. Genuinely scared, and it felt so real, the reactions to it. But it's also so funny. It's got such stupid jokes in it and one-liners in the middle of all of this horror. I really love that as a classic horror comedy. I love Cabin in the Woods as
mm,
well. That's a comfort watch for me. I'll put that on multiple times because I love all of the tropes it plays into, of all of the horror
yeah.
film tropes. And there was one of those ones where my friend had sort of said, "Have you seen Cabin in the Woods?" Like, no, I don't know that one. They were like, "Oh my god, sit, we're watching it now." And I'm so glad that they introduced it to me. And those horror films, those are the intentionally funny ones. I
Mm.
don't think Van Helsing was intended to be funny, but I bloody love it. Absolutely love that. It's ridiculous. It's bad. It's not meant to be funny, but it's all the vibes. It ticks every box for the aesthetic and ludicrous performances. Love it. I won't have a bad word said against Van Helsing.
Great. Maybe I'll watch it one day.
It's good fun. It's fun.
um, so just getting away from films for 1 minute. I mean, I'm a
Yes.
big lover of horror on TV, and there's so
Mm.
much more of it now. What would you say is your favorite horror TV film program?
Um, I'm always looking for more recommendations of horror series. I've watched, I think, all of the Mike Flanagan series. Love him. I think he's a very, very talented creator. And enjoyed most of them. I loved The Haunting of Hill House. I think is
Hmm.
great. But my favorite horror series is Penny Dreadful.
Mm.
Absolutely loved Penny Dreadful. I really liked all three series. I think the third one dipped a tiny bit. It was a short-lived one. I loved it because it just pulled in all of these characters from Gothic literature. It was heightened. It was over the top. Very good performances. Love it. Loved it. It's
Yeah.
for Gothic horror fans. I really, really think Penny Dreadful is often slept on. I didn't continue watching it when they moved it to City of Angels, when they moved
Mm.
it to LA. I think I watched one episode and I wasn't really convinced, but maybe I should go and try it again because it didn't get bad reviews, I don't think.
No, I didn't watch the LA one either, but I did
Mm.
watch the three original ones, and I really enjoyed that. I thought it was a great
Yeah.
little show, and I don't think. I mean, I've not met anybody besides you who watched that. So.
Yeah, there we go. And I always am telling people, why haven't you watched Penny Dreadful? People who love that sort of thing. I'm like,
Mm.
just trust me on this one. It's a great one. What are your favorite TV horror programs? Because I need more recs.
Well, it's this one's been going so long that everybody knows about, and that's Walking Dead. I'm a huge fan of Walking Dead. Not everybody is, and it lost a few
I'm
viewers
not.
along the way. No,
It's not that it's bad.
no,
That's
no.
the one thing I struggle with, the zombie thing. I don't
Yeah.
mind a zombie, but I'm like, oh, that looks bleak. I know.
It can
I
be
know.
very bleak. But I think at the moment my favorite is From. From is brilliant.
Oh, yeah, I've
Yeah,
heard good things. Right, I need to check that
yeah,
out. Writing that
yeah.
down.
It's really, really good. And on Netflix they had one, and I can't remember what year it's called, but I think it's like Archive 81 or 84.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that was based on the podcast, wasn't it? Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
watched all of that. It was good, that one. I did sort of end up going, what happened? I
Yeah,
don't know what happened.
my husband really enjoyed that one as well. So, and
Mm.
I was sad that they're not doing a second series, but he was like, oh no,
Mm.
I'm happy that it ended like that. So
Yeah, it was
yeah,
good. Yeah, slice of
yeah,
weird horror. Like it.
yes. I think I can't think of anything else off the top of my head now that I'm watching.
Mm.
We've watched the Dexter prequel, which is quite
Mm.
good, but better than the Dexter sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I'll still watch the second series of the Dexter sequel. It's got some really good people in it. So
Fair enough.
Uma Thurman's in it.
Oh, we love Uma Thurman.
Yeah, yeah. Right. So back to the films, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
not. Maybe this would be in TV as well. Who is your all-time favourite horror villain?
I'm always rooting for the villain, so I love them all. I do love them all. mine are the creatures. It's Jaws. I'm rooting for Jaws every time. I love Jaws. I love seeing the shark. I love the xenomorph from Alien. And Alien, I know, crossed into sci-fi, but I maintain it's a haunted house film set in space.
Oh, it's a horror film.
It's a horror film and it's a masterpiece. But the xenomorph, love the xenomorph. Yeah, I know, xenomorph. I've always been fond of Michael Myers, and I really liked the Halloween reboot from 2018, where you've got Laurie, years later. I love the opening of that film, where you have the podcasters turning up in the asylum and then approaching Michael and the lore of kind of around it and the mask. I really loved the opening of that, and it so personified the cult around Michael Myers. Yeah, and I sort of go back to I like him because he's inexplicable in many ways. Though I know various remakes, I haven't watched all of them. Like
No.
the different continuations, sort of mess with it and then try and give it more empathy or something like that. But I like the canon, the original too, and then I did like the reboots where it's just Michael Myers is just a killer. He's just a machine.
Halloween is my favourite film of all time.
Yeah.
So I'm quite passionate about it not being touched. So I didn't watch the Rob Zombies because the whole scary thing about Michael is there is no reason behind what he's doing. And
100%,
that's the
yeah.
scariest thing. You know, once you understand why somebody's doing something, it takes away a bit of the mystery to it, the horror to it.
Absolutely, absolutely agree. Yeah, and I think all of the ones I mentioned there, they're just, this is in their nature to do it. Michael Myers, you don't need to understand it. He's so much more frightening. You don't need to understand why the xenomorph is killing things. That's just, it's built to do that. The shark in Jaws is I'm just going to eat you. This is it. You don't need to have any kind of sympathy and stuff, like some of the sequels of these things, like, oh, well, maybe it was abandoned as a child or this or that. And it doesn't need it. Doesn't need it. You
No,
know, just have the monster is scary enough if you don't understand it.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Um, right. So the next one is, who is your favorite fearless female? Now, in this one is something that I'm kind of championing at the moment, because
Yeah.
I think that horror films are currently, and possibly mainly over all decades, have been the best place for actresses. They give
Yes.
them more stuff to get their teeth into than any other genre, in my opinion,
Mm,
and especially of late. I mean, there's been some amazing performances over the last decade or so,
mm,
which really should have got more notice, and that's why I wanted to put this in here so we could champion our favourite females. So, who would you say
100%.
is yours?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I find the role of women in horror a fascinating subject. I wrote about it when I studied film at university. The way it's changed, the way it's evolved, the final girl trope, what we're seeing in books as well, which is sort of my area of so many, so, you know, having these female characters come forward, and still the cliches are used, and still we fall into the same
Mm,
traps, and not every book or not every film is getting it right. You know, they're still reliant on these tried and tested things that are hollow, but at the same time we have the most phenomenal performances and ways for actresses to sink their teeth into. So a recent one would be Pearl.
mm,
Pearl from Pearl, Mia Goth. What a performance in that film. I liked X. I liked X a lot. Wilkes as well in Misery, of Kathy Bates creating something so
mm.
horrific with that smile and that howdy doody kind of approach to this character. I think she is great. She's horrible. She's just
Oh,
awful.
definitely.
Yeah, so I'm always kind of on, again, as ever, on the side of the villains and the
Mm.
unhinged ones in terms of heroines and female characters. I think there's almost a bit of way to go.
Yeah, I think with the final girl thing, there's definitely a way to go. I think in the first one of the new Halloweens, they really did do a good job with Laurie and her return and how scarred she was by the whole thing.
Really good.
Yeah, and I thought that needs to be done more, and I'm hoping that for the next Scream film, because Neve Campbell's coming back again, you might see a
Yeah.
few more scars on her. You know.
I like that. Yeah, with you need to see the repercussions of trauma,
Mm,
and people feel very kind of, oh, do we want to get into that territory? I like it with the way that's dealt with. I like it when you see this is what you would have done to live with it, and you're dead right with Laurie in the 2018 one. You know, she's crazy. She's destroyed her life, as it
mm,
would. Of
mm,
course it would. There's some really good books. I would recommend The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix if you've not read it. Yeah, I like Grady Hendrix a lot. He's a male writer, and that many people sort of go, why is he always writing female characters in his book? But the female is the centerpiece of
mm,
horror a lot of the time, and he does them well. And that's a very fun book where it takes, well, what happened to the final girls from nodding to the film series that we love,
mm.
and what would happen if someone was after them, and then that sort of slasher kind of vibe. It's nicely done. There's other books that sort of put a final girl story in, and you're like, oh, you don't understand women.
Which horror side character has stole the show in a film for you?
I struggled with this one as well, and I might need your help on this one or suggestions for it. Because I was kind of going like the side characters, like, who am I forgetting? Who am I not thinking of? And I know a million and one come to me. The first thing I thought of was the pale man in Pan's Labyrinth.
Mm.
As a side character, bloody hell! Like, can you think of a more horrifying vision of horror coming for the girl in Pan's Labyrinth? So well done, Guillermo del Toro. Absolutely love him. Brilliant film, Pan's Labyrinth. Absolutely heartbreaking. But I suddenly thought the Pale Man. That's it. That was the first thing that came into my head. Is a side character, not the main bit. Yeah, but I don't know what other suggestions you've got of side characters.
Well, I think I put this in because, and his name has gone out of my head because I'm a woman of a certain age, and that's what happens. um, but Scream, the guy in the first two Screams, who's the film nerd who works in the video shop.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
yes. Oh God, what's his name?
Yeah, I
Oh,
can't remember his name.
it's got an E on the end of it.
Yeah, let me.
Oh God, we have to Google it now. Where is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like him though. Yeah, he is
Yeah,
good.
yeah. I love him. I love him so much. They should just make like another prequel just with him in or something.
Yeah, you've got Stu. Is it?
Is it
Is it
Stu?
Stu?
No, I don't think it's Stu.
No, I might be wrong. That was Google just throwing stuff at me. Oh no, Stu is Matthew Lillard.
Randy.
Randy.
I should have remembered that.
Randy, that's it. I knew there was an E in there. Yeah. No, love him. Yeah, he's a great character.
Yeah. I think. I just think they should do more with him. Just little offshoots.
Yeah, have a prequel for him. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
How did he learn his skills?
So who do you think is the sexiest character in horror movies? This is a strange one. Or
no,
the sexiest horror film.
Oh, Dracula. Bram Stoker's Dracula is my youth, is my awakening. Loved that, again, the vibes and the aesthetic of the gothic for Bram Stoker's Dracula, Francis Ford Coppola's film. Loved that, and fell madly in love with Gary Oldman in that film. Him as Dracula, ludicrous over the top performance, but great, but absolutely great. And yeah, I'd say I think Monica Bellucci is one of the brides in that. Also, is right up there as well as she's gorgeous. So we'd be like, oh, okay, hello. Yeah, I'm partial to a vampire, not a Twilight vampire, but a brooding, dark, vicious one. You know, Nosferatu himself, actually, I think even in the Robert Eggers recent one, which I loved. I mean, Bill Skarsgård is a very, very beautiful man in real life. In the film, Nosferatu is still gross, but me and my friends are still like, hear me out. Would you? Yeah, definitely, absolutely, go for it. I'm yours.
Yeah, there is definitely something about the vampires. I think that's why I've got a bit of a love for Christopher Lee. I know that's definitely why my sister's got a deep love for Christopher Lee. So
absolutely,
and
yeah,
also
very just
going back to like TV, True Blood as well. So
yes, yeah. Oh my God, I remember that came out. I loved the series, and my younger cousin was so obsessed with it, and I think we were telling stories actually that she was really obsessed with it, and like her bigger sister, and we had let her watch it and everything, and then her older brother came home going, oh, let's watch that show you really like, and then turned it on going, oh my God, this is just shagging from nonstop. I'm like, yeah.
Another beautiful
Skarsgård can do no wrong. Yeah, absolutely. Oh God, he's gorgeous. Yeah.
He is. He's very nice.
Enjoyable.
Which horror subgenre do you think you connect with the most? Are you a slasher girl? Do you like your folk, cosmic horror?
I love all genres. There's very rarely a horror film, if it's new, if it's out, if it's well rated, if it's a particular genre, I'll watch all of them. I'm sort of known a bit more for folk horror, because I do really like folk horror, and I think it's a wonderful subgenre in literature and on the screen as well. So yeah, anything, if I see there's a new folk horror film coming out, I will prioritize that. Yeah, The Wicker Man is one of my top films, and there's so many good folk horror films out there, and they're just so insidious in many ways, but beautiful. So very enjoyable. But most of the others are fine. Cosmic horror is not my favorite, to be honest. I'm not a massive fan of Lovecraftian horrors, but I like the way it's been reclaimed, because I don't really like at all H.P. Lovecraft. Had some terrible views and very much stuck to them. But there's been a really interesting reclamation of his work by people of color to use it. So Lovecraft Country, the series that was out, which sort of reclaimed it, that I like the way that was done. I didn't watch all of the series, but I like the vibes of that. But cosmic horror sometimes leans too much into tentacles, and I'm like, oh, okay, right. It just gets a bit much after a while, but I may be missing some really good ones.
I mean, I don't think I've seen masses of them, so I can't really say. I can't recommend anything off the top of my head.
Yeah, we'll see.
What do you think is the most beautifully shot horror film you've seen?
There's a lot. I mean, again, it's the bane of any horror fan's life, is that when you say you like horror films or you read horror books, people just assume, so you like so you just like gore, like, and slashers and people running away and screaming from crazy ghosts. Yes, I like that. Absolutely, I like that. But that's not what horror is about. The foundations of horror are in literature. The classics that we deem to be some of the great works of literature, most of those are horror stories. So you have such beauty in there, and it translates wonderfully into film and onto the screen. So with horror films, you can create such beautiful stories. Like we've said, like Let the Right One In is stunning. You Won't Be Alone, I mentioned that recently. Nosferatu, the new Nosferatu, what a brilliantly shot, enjoyable work of art on screen. Whether you love the film or not, I mean, to watch that, and the colors and the lighting and the way that that was done. Robert Eggers is known for taking it very seriously. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful and compelling to watch. And those sorts of films where they take the time to create that sense of tension through the visuals, I love those films. I mean, there's, as I said, there's some really lurid kind of ones. I watched a screening recently of Picnic at Hanging Rock, which is a great film. It's very dreamy and slow burn, and like, if you've never seen it, you need to sort of prepare for it. So it's quite weird and it's uncanny, but beautiful, but has just this underlying horror to it. Very unsettling film.
Yeah, I think I saw that when I was younger. I might have even seen that before I was even really into horror films. So that is a peculiar one.
It's an odd one. It's an odd one, but I really like it. Yeah, people watch it now. That, as I said, at that screening, I took a friend and she was like, she liked it, and I saw some people who'd never seen it before, and they were like, what the hell was that all about? It was not very well acted. And I'm like, yeah, there's children in it. It's style. Like, oh, never mind.
You can't always guarantee on children to carry a film. Although the kid in 28 Years Later is amazing.
Oh my God. So good. Oh, there's some kid actors out. You're like, bloody hell, the quality has gone up.
Yeah. I think it's probably just how directors work with them, get the best out of them.
Exactly. They've got better circumstances, I'm sure, and better scripts, and not just kind of like, kids aren't necessarily just a tool to move the horror along. They actually have a role to play and can be fully rounded characters.
Yeah, definitely. This is a strange one. If you could live inside one horror film forever, which one would it be? And is there a role in that film you would play, or would you just be yourself?
Two answers to this, and again, I'm sure others will come to me, because there's the side of me that loves the Gothic and wants to live in a Gothic castle or in a big haunted library and sort of be enjoying all that opulence. So something like Bram Stoker's Dracula, probably, in my head, I'd be one of his gorgeous brides. I'd end up being his stupid little sidekick who's like, some like Renfield, but worse, but more annoying, just scuttling around going, yes, anything you want to do. Where are we going to go today? Shush you. I'd sort of love that kind of vibe in there. A film that is, again, a class as a horror, again, psychological horror, The Menu. Love The Menu. Absolutely, again, a comfort film. I'd live in that. The food in that film, I don't care if you're going to kill me at the end of it. I am there for every course that you can serve up, and the wine pairing, I'm all over that. I could live in The Menu very happily.
I haven't thought much about this. I've had my ideas since I put these questions together, and one just came back to me when you started to talk about the kind of Gothic and Dracula and stuff. I think I would go into Waxwork, the 1980s film, which not everybody's seen, and it's very, very cheesy.
It's great. That's terrifying, though. Oh, come on.
but it's the sweeping music and the romanticism in some of the bits that they go into, and I'm sure that definitely influenced Backstreet Back video. From the Backstreet
I think it did, now you've said that. Oh my God. Yeah, no, that's a great choice. Whatever the horror films are, you're kind of like, well, I got to take the rough with the smooth, and as long as I got some luxury, I need to be somewhere luxurious, and then what happens to me happens. It's my job to either to win or not. But if there's good food and good lighting and lovely music and everything, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, whatever you want.
What was the last horror film you watched, and did it work for you or not?
I watched Dangerous Animals recently. So Dangerous Animals, that is, it is still classed as a horror film, but it's it's psychological horror. It's a serial killer film with sharks. The serial killer uses sharks. It's only just become available in the UK. It's been out in the US. It had limited cinema release. I saw that one. I wanted to see it because, as I said, I love sharks. I will say Dangerous Animals, absolutely carried by Jai Courtney's performance, the lead character, the serial killer. He's outstanding in it. Harking back to what we're saying about, horror and those kind of films being a great place for women and for great roles, the film is almost destroyed by the female main character in it, our FMC. She cannot act. She may be able to act in other films. She's not doing it in this one. There's nary a facial expression, and her script is awful. But then the other half of it, of this concept of a serial killer using sharks, and that performance is brilliant and worth it 100%.
All right.
But yeah, I just, it made me so annoyed to go, did the scriptwriters not spend any time thinking about the cliche after cliche after cliche of a female spunky kind of feisty character, a bit of dodgy CGI every now and then, but otherwise a very good film. But yeah, I was thinking, we've come so long, we've come so far, we've got to do better than this for our female leads.
Yeah, I can understand that. I have got that on my list to watch. I've heard good things about it, especially the villain's performance. A lot of people have said how good it was. Yeah.
Well worth it. He is great, and I really enjoy it. And in hindsight, I really enjoyed the film. I was struck by how bad she was, but it didn't detract from the rest of it. And sharks. There's sharks in it, which is great.
Which is good.
I was trying to think of the last pure horror film I watched, because I watched them in sort of bulk, and then I'm going to go, what ran into each other? I watched Influencer, I watched The Drop, I did a run of them. I've got tonight, after this interview, I will be watching an advanced screening of Bambi: The Reckoning.
Good luck with that.
The horror of that. I was sent a screener.
Oh, wonderful.
Blessed them by Pixel, who are lovely. And so me and some friends are going to watch that. And apparently it slaps. Apparently, of all of the twisted childhood things, they're the same people, Winnie the Pooh series, and like with Blood and Honey and Peter Pan. Apparently the Bambi one works. So I will report back. I'll be reporting back on my channels.
I'll keep an eye out for that then. I haven't gone into the Pooh verse yet, I must say.
No. Apparently it's not great, but fun.
Although I've heard very good things about Ugly Stepsister. Is it?
Brilliant film. I saw that a few weeks ago. If you've not seen it, I urge you to watch it. One of the best examples of body horror I've seen. Brilliantly acted, brilliantly written, genuinely grotesque, does not shy away from anything, but a great story. So if you want a twist on a fairy tale, The Ugly Stepsister, 100% worth it.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch. Who's a horror director that you like to keep an eye on? You like to watch all their films, you don't want to miss any of them?
Robert Eggers, I think, given his track record now, I think, he's not failed yet. I think I've seen all of them. Guillermo del Toro, I will watch any film by him. He's got Frankenstein coming out. I'm very excited about that, and it looks good. It looks like a vibe. Those are two that sort of leapt to my head. Of other, Mike Flanagan, I think I probably will always watch his stuff. I'd be interested to see what he does. It can be hit and miss. It's generally enjoyable, but as in like the best horror directors out there. Those are Guillermo del Toro and Robert Eggers are the ones on my radar. Jordan Peele has some stuff coming out. I'm not so sure about his politics at the moment, so I'm just sort of keeping a wary eye on that. And I think it's important to do that in this day and age. But I know he's got a new film out, and very, very accomplished horror director. And then Osgood Perkins is an interesting one. Again, very hit and miss, some very interesting ones. And some films where nothing happens for 90 minutes. But we'll probably still watch this stuff.
Yeah, we loved The Monkey.
I've not watched that one yet, actually. That's on my list. My friend watched it and just went, it's fine. It is what it is.
I thought it was a tremendous amount of fun, and my husband enjoyed that one. He said, "Oh, yeah,
Good.
we should have more like that." So
Yeah, that might be one I sit down with Ben then and my husband, and we could watch that together, because I've heard good things. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think I watched a couple of duds this week, so I'm like, I need a good one now.
yeah. If you could give one underrated horror film a reboot or a sequel, what would it be?
This is a great question, and one I got stuck on again, because I just was churning over in my head going, I'm the sort of person who would be excited if I saw anything kind of getting a reboot and redone, if it was a film that I loved, even though there would be a part of me going, don't mess with the originals, with the greats and stuff. Do you need to remake The Thing? Do you need to remake Jaws? Do you need to remake The Shining? Or, you did not need to remake The Wicker Man, clearly.
Nope.
So some of those where you go, do you need to mess with it? I like reboots or sort of sequels where you've got a legacy. I like a legacy sequel. I will never get enough of more sequels or legacy sequels or anything to slashers. Hook them to my veins. I know I'm going to have my heart broken again and again and again. But, I think Halloween, as we've been talking about, that 2018 was a good benchmark. And I was like, well, that can work. Friday the 13th, how many Friday the 13th films have there been? Yet I still want a really good new one, because of the way that horror has exploded in recent years. We have some of the best people working on horror films, great writers, great directors, and it's getting the recognition, and people are seeing finally, that we will pay, and we have a fandom here. Horror films are profitable. So sometimes I think with that kind of the same way with Halloween, I sometimes think with Friday the 13th, if we could get a really good, what was the trauma from the summer camp? What was that, what could we see there? Sleepaway Camp, again, great slasher. Could we have a remake of that, or could we have a continuation? Because it's not one that many people have seen. I see Ready or Not is getting a sequel, which I love. I absolutely love that film. And I've just seen that that's got a sequel coming out. So most of the ones that I would have sequels to are already in the works.
Oh, that's good then.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. But yeah, I think if I saw, again, I go back to Jaws and stuff like Alien, all of the sequels that have happened there, they're pretty decent. Some of them. I've seen most of them. I think I've seen all of them, actually. Like if Jaws was redone, you can't recreate that, but what would be the repercussions years later? Like any really good shark film where the shark is the central point would be really welcome. Horror is just very exciting at the moment. So generally anything that comes out, I'm like, I'm there we go, I'll give it a go.
I can understand that. This one is in here coming from my personal experience. I know that as many horror films as I've watched, I have some big gaping holes for ones that I've yet to see that are important. Like, so I was wondering, is there a horror classic that you've never seen and you feel guilty that you haven't got around to it?
These things go out of my head. I was having to Google it and going, have I seen all of these? And of course, all the stuff that Google is showing me is stuff that I would have searched before. So it's only showing me stuff that I've seen, obviously. I'm looking at this. I did think, I've not seen the first Evil Dead all the way through. That is one where you go, oh yeah. Evil Dead 2, I've seen. But I think it was of a time when it sort of got its resurgence when I was at uni, and we were sort of watching clips of it, and it was like, oh my God, it's so cool. It suddenly went, I don't think I've actually seen the first one at all. So yeah, to some people that'd be sacrilege.
Bruce Campbell is my favorite actor of all time.
He is great. It is just it's an experience. It's a ride. But yeah, what are your ones? What's your party piece to say? I've never seen that.
I haven't seen Don't Look Now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
you're fine.
Yeah, I haven't got around to that. When it comes to old classics, I've not seen many of the Hammers. I've not seen any of the Universals. So I should probably get into them at some point. Yeah,
I think if you've seen one, like Hammer is great. It's like Sunday afternoon. Are you missing out? You'll like it for campy value. The original Universals, like Dracula and Frankenstein, to have take them off the list, yes, it's important more to know where things come from. I think if anyone was sort of hounding you, though I did do a rant on TikTok actually where someone tried to come at me going, I think you'll find this Hammer Horror Frankenstein is definitive. And I'm like, okay, right, bring it on. Here's the list, mate. Here's the list. Here's where we're going to go through James Whale's original. Yeah, and Don't Look Now. I will, people will throw stuff at me. Would you be missing out massively of not seeing it? No. It's so stylish, and it has that look, and it has a couple of very famous scenes in it, and if you've seen it, you've seen it. Do I ever want to watch it again? It's brilliant. Do I need to watch it again? People say to me going, I've never seen that, should we watch it? I'd be like, okay, well, strap in, you know, like there you go. It's going to be of a style.
Yeah, I mean, it's on the iPlayer at the moment, so I might watch it next weekend because hubby's away. So, but
yeah,
I think
put it on in the afternoon.
Yeah, I think it's because it's influenced other stuff, and there's been so much written about it that I feel like I need to see it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I know that there are. I know that there are big gaping holes, and there's things that I'm like, how have I not seen that yet?
Like the same, where you're kind of nodding along, like, oh yeah. Oh shit, I've not seen that.
Yeah, I've not seen Zombie Flesh Eaters.
No, I haven't either, actually.
It's one of those ones where I think, yeah, I probably should see it, and I think, do I want to see it? Because I think sometimes, like I said before, these can get locked in the experiences that people had the first time they watched them.
Yes.
And especially in this country, in the UK, if you got hold of that back in like the 80s or the early 90s when you weren't able to get hold of it, it would have been a big thing. Like I've seen Faces of Death, and I think now, well, if I hadn't seen it, I wouldn't want to go back and watch that now. So you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've seen a great experience I had when I saw Plan 9 from Outer Space, the Ed Wood film, because I don't know, I was 12 or 13 or something. I'd gone to bed, and my dad came knocking on my door and said, Sinead, you have to get up. And I was like, it's midnight, Dad. And so I was like, no, but you have to come and see the worst film ever made. Because he found it on TV, on Bravo. And it was like, okay. And then went and sat down with him and watched it, and just roaring laughing at this film. Like, would I say to people now, watch it? Like, you have to watch it, is just stupid. But it was such an important part of cinema as well, of Ed Wood's sort of genre, so you can understand the ludicrous script and all of those effects and things. And sometimes, yeah, you look back and go, oh, I've seen this film. I don't think I should be recommending anyone else watch this. You know, I think it was very of the moment. People go, yes. What the hell was that?
Yeah, I do love a bit of Ed Wood, and I especially like Tim Burton's Ed Wood. That's a brilliant film. But B movies, they have their place.
Yeah.
Although
100%.
I am looking forward to Toxic Avenger.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's just any kind of B movie vibe. That's what you want.
Yeah. Right, okay, so let's finish this off with your top 5 best horror films of all time. And I know this is not an easy one, and it's impossible. It goes backwards and forwards. And if you've got one where you've got a sequel or a remake and you love them equally, I will let you have that.
Choosing my top 5 horror films, like choosing my top 5 brain cells. It's like, it changes constantly. I sort of wrote a big list down. Some of the things that I've mentioned today, though, Jaws is obviously up there. I think is one of the finest films, if not the best film of all time.
Yes, it is. I said that. I said that on the podcast. I recorded the other day with Mark from the Creative Psychopaths podcast, which is a really good podcast, and he loves Jaws, and Jaws is one of his favorite films. But when I said to him, I think Jaws is the best film ever made, and he was like, oh, I don't think I'd even go that far. I'm like, yeah, it is.
No, it is. It is. I do think it's. I would argue the toss that it is possibly a perfect film. Everything about it, the construction, the way it's shot, you know, it's, you either think it or you don't, but it's up there. And as a horror film, and the tension, it's just perfect. I love it. I never get tired of it. Again, in the more sci-fi kind of one, and I sort of went, I was thinking like the different sort of genres of film I was trying to, and what I would recommend to other people. Alien is up there for me. Again, one of my favorite films of all time, beautifully directed by Ridley Scott. To have a sci-fi, what looks like a sci-fi film, become a haunted house film. And it obviously goes very gung-ho and soldiers later on with Aliens, the sequel, and then going further. But the fear of the monster in this in that film is real. Very well done. If you still want to go sort of sci-fi, then The Thing would sit in there as well. I would recommend that to anyone. Another one is The Wicker Man, the original
yeah.
Christopher Lee. So dated in some ways, but a great story of folk horror. If you want to dabble in folk horror, that is where to start, with these slightly stylized performances, beautifully shot, a bit weird, but that's what folk horror is all about, and I just love it, and I never get tired of it. Oh, the soundtrack as well is absolutely wonderful. The other ones, this is where it's like just the list was so long. I was going to put up An American Werewolf in London in there as well, because of horror and comedy and how that changed cinema in terms of the special effects as well. The transformation sequence of the werewolf, I love it. I never get tired of watching that film. And then I was trying to think of all of the films I love. There's indulgent films like Bram Stoker's Dracula. I love The Company of Wolves. I love the recent Nosferatu. I like Scream. I like all my slashers. I think is a genuinely scary film that I love the lore behind. It would be The Shining. And many people, as they do when I mention it, there will be purists who will come at me and go, the book is better, Stephen King. And I hear you, and I've heard it a million times over. It doesn't stop me loving that film. I think the film is different from the book. You know, there's certain differences in there, but again, its construction, the imagery in there of the twins, of the room, the old woman in the bath. So me and my friends have a running joke where sometimes when we're going out, I think I look like the hot woman in that room, but actually I look like the old woman in the bath. Actually, yeah, that's how I look. You know, we use that analogy a lot. But it's a truly frightening, really frightening, scary, out of your mind kind of horror film. I think The Shining did something, and was really groundbreaking. The Innocents is one of my favorites as a classic ghost story as well. It's just superb. But there's just so many. And everything I've said there, I could name 5 more that would equally sit up there and go, oh my god, I love it. You know, I think Jaws always has a kind of an edge in cinema for me, as does Alien. But yeah, there's so many horror films I could sit. I am that person in the pub who would be sitting, leaning across the table inches away from your face, just explaining, you're about to start the greatest journey you've ever been on. Let me explain in detail why all of these films are great, and I want you to love them as much as me.
Yeah, I get that
fun.
completely.
Yeah, it's something you could just, when you love something so much, you could talk about it for hours and just nitpick at the tiniest things in a film, or talk about the whole of the genre, where it came from. It's such a joy. And if you're listening to the podcast, hopefully, you know, your listeners will be like, well, I'm interested in horror.
Yeah, you
let
hope
this convince
so.
you to let this convince you to really lean into it.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Well, wonderful. Sinead, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. Is there anything you want to push, or any YouTube channel, anything like that?
Sure. Yes. Thank you so much for having me on. This has been a delight. It's just a joy to talk about horror films and all of the past and everything about it that we love. If you are interested in me, I have a YouTube channel, Sinead Hanna Crack. Crack is CRAIC, as in Irish crack. If you type in Sinead Hanna, you'll find me. That is where I do spooky book reviews. I do some film roundups. I do some vlogs on there. I have a channel on TikTok as well, same handle, Sinead Hanna Crack, where I do regular, shorter book reviews. And I also have the same on Instagram. My main focus is horror books, not necessarily with the gore. I don't really do extreme horror, nothing wrong with that at all. And my love of different horror films, and also occasionally just random stuff that I'm doing, and involving crows as well.
Wonderful.
Great.
Well, that's great. Thank you for coming on. Maybe we'll have you on for a deep dive one day in something that you love. That would be great.
Love it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank Sinead for coming on our first show. It was wonderful to get to know her, and wonderful to listen about her journey through horror. At the end of every episode, I will be giving you some recommendations, and this month I wanted to recommend a podcast, one of my favourites in fact. A Year in Horror, hosted by Paul Waller, not Weller. This is a deep dive into a year of horror films. Paul goes through his least favourites, his runners-up, and his top 10 of the horrors of a certain year every month. He has some wonderful guests on, and they really know their stuff. It's a must for any horror fan, and it's a great way to get recommendations for some films that you may never heard of. So, if you like horror, I'd give it a listen. So, if you'd like to get in touch, share your horror history, or suggest a guest, you can find me on Instagram at myhorrorhistory.pod, or drop me an email at myhorrorhistory.pod@gmail.com. Join us next month when we'll be chatting to Mark Reid from the Creative Psychopaths podcast. Until then, stay spooky, stay curious, and keep watching horror. Bye!